And we're back live. Hello, everybody. Good evening. And we're here on this wonderful Thursday evening. And hey, I have another interview to do today. And that's shocking because usually it takes me about 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks before I do one. So maybe I'll be a little more consistent now. But today, my interviewee is a comic book writer, Dirk Manning. And he's known for a comic book called Hope. He's recently done Twisted's Haunted Highons, which I'm really excited about. I'm going to be talking a bunch about that one today. That and Hope. And what else Dirk has on his plate for us upcoming. He's got a project that's getting funded right now on Kickstarter called Butts and Seats, a Tony Schiavone story. So he's kind of got a wide variety of comics for fans of, he does a little bit of everything, so it's cool to let's see here. He's right here, so I'm going to go ahead here. See if he'll join in here. Hey, there he is.
Here I am. This is my first ever Instagram live. So
Really?
thank you for. I normally do Facebook Live.
Gotcha.
Honestly. So this is new territory for me. So thank you for having me.
Hey, no problem. I think it's I'm the opposite. I'm on Instagram just because I have a better following, I guess I should say. On Facebook it just doesn't seem as active on there, so I'm like, yeah, I like Instagram a little.
I'm old, so I guess I do Facebook.
Can't be
What
that.
up, Jack? Sorry, I was saying hi.
Everybody's.
And all these great people are popping in. Hello, everyone.
It's good to have people on here to find out a little bit about Dirk Manning.
I guess so. Here we are. We can rock and or roll, as the kids say.
As the kids say. Well, I'm almost 30, so I'm not a kid anymore.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I won't say how old I am. I'm old enough to know better and too young to care, I guess. So
there you go. I won't guess, and I won't try, I guess.
But thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, of course. Thanks for joining me. I'm finally kind of being a little more what's the word? It usually takes a while for me to do these. Like the last one I did was last week, but before then it was like a month and a half. But since I had done one, so of course I had a lot of stuff going on. But I'm going to try to be a little more. I just said the word like 10 minutes ago. Now it's left me. The word like where you're consistent. It's been a long morning, day.
Yeah, brother, been a long month. Believe I get it. I talk about having like Kickstarter brain and stuff like that. So and then the struggle's real. I get it. We're good. We're here now, man. So
we are here. Yeah. So let's jump into that then. The Kickstarter, your Butts and Seats, the Tony Schiavone story. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, as I continue to fiddle with this, trying to figure out how to best make that work. Yeah, people can go to buttsandseatscomic.com to check it out. This is a Kickstarter I'm running for Butts and Seats, Tony Schiavone story, written by me with Tony Schiavone, legendary professional wrestling announcer personality, as well as he's done a lot of stuff in other sports and things like that as well. So just really cool, man. I'm super excited about this project. We have absolutely, positively blown past our wildest expectations for this book, which is about the Tony Schiavone's life in wrestling. It starts off with him discovering wrestling with his Uncle John as a teenager. And then, follows the trajectory of his career through professional wrestling. When he got out of professional wrestling for about 18 years, we brought him back in with AEW. Just a really cool book, really fun. I think it's something that fans of professional wrestling will really enjoy. Tony Schiavone is the voice of a lot of our childhoods, those of us of a certain age. Mm-hmm. It's also a book that's just very much I dare say, inspirational as well as entertaining story about this guy's life in wrestling and entertaining, and it's fun, man. I'm really excited about it.
It's like an auto, well, not not completely like a graphic novel, an autobiography in the form of a graphic novel. So
Yeah, yeah. That's exactly right. All the stories are told directly by Tony, and then kind of like transcribed and written by me. For the purposes of the graphic novel. Yeah, we were struggling. It's like, is this an autobiography? Is it a biography? Is it a autobiographical graphic novel or a biographical graphic novel?
all
I
of
mean,
those.
it's a little bit of everything. It's a little bit of everything for everyone. So
Sounds that way. It sounds like it would be a pretty cool read, just of all the stories and stuff. I myself, I've never heard of Tony Schiavone until now. I grew up with wrestling. I grew up in the '90s. I was born in '91, so I'm not familiar with like the old school wrestling, so to speak.
Mhm.
My growing up, like it was WCW, like you know, Diamond Dallas Page was like my
Right.
favorite when I was growing up. Him, Goldberg came around. I was me and my brothers. We'd always play the video games, so it's like we always knew. Like we just had a big. That's how I kind of learned
Right.
all the wrestlers at the time.
Well, it's funny then because with that era, Tony Schiavone was probably calling a lot of your favorite matches, but like you said, maybe you just weren't aware that that was him at the time. But yeah, because Tony was an announcer for WCW back in the day, and it's interesting because Tony has worked for almost every major wrestling promotion in the United States. With the exception of ECW. We joked we have to have someone hit him with a steel chair or something when this is done and kind of bring him full circle. And so yeah, Tony's just been so involved in the industry and things like that. Well, thank you. Yes, I'm reading the comments too on the Instagram as I go. And yeah, and people still want to get in on the campaign. I'd be remiss not to say it runs till April 16th. You can pre-order now. Your money's not collected till the campaign ends after April 16th. But yeah, we're super excited about the project. And like you said, I think there's a situation where everyone is at least aware of professional wrestling. Whether or not you are a major fan of wrestling or not is another thing altogether. But the book also offers a behind the scenes look at it. Several of the wrestlers you talked about make cameos in the book. DDP and Goldberg and even obviously Hulk Hogan is in there and Sting. It's Sting is in there. And then moving into the AEW stuff. So
I was I almost met Sting at Horror Hound a couple years ago. I saw him like, and he had the
mhm.
paint dead up and everything.
Yeah.
Like my favorite Sting was definitely WCW. Like when he had the long hair and he kind of it was like that he joined the Wolf Pack at one point because he had the red paint.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
GameStop released a Funko Pop of that edition of Sting, but now it goes for like buku dollars. Like I'm like, why didn't I grab that when I had the chance?
I know. The thing with those Funkos is once you pop, you can't stop. It's like I started with one, and every time I think I'm out, they somehow pull me back in. It's like once they made one of Lemmy from Motorhead, I'm like, okay,
Oh,
I'm good. I will never need another one. And then they put out a whole freaking line of like Junji Ito characters, who's one of my favorite comic book writers, a manga writer and artist. And I'm like, what kind of world am I living in where there's like Funko Pops of like Junji Ito characters? No, I have to get them, and they're like $10. It's like, I'll get one. I'll get another one. And next thing you know, it's like
$50, $60 later.
they're all over, right? They're just like, and I'm that guy, I see yours are on the box. I know this makes a lot of people mad. I take mine out of the box. Like I got one of like The Crow by James O'Barr, and it's like, I take them out of the box, I put them up, man. It's like I keep the boxes, but I take them out and just.
I got a couple out of the box.
All right, yeah, right on, man. Here, good. Hold on. Good. Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got two, so I could take one out of the box.
Oh well, see, there you go. I haven't gotten that. I haven't gotten that hardcore with it for the most part.
Trust me, I used to be hardcore into Funko. Like this isn't even like most of my pops right now are in boxes, and I'm at the point now. I'm just like, I just kind of got over the having to be there in order to get them. Otherwise, you weren't going to get them. kind of
Right.
like, and I just like I have enough, like to the point where like the last one I bought. Funny enough, actually, it's gonna be a topic we'll probably cover later. From Paul from Twisted, uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I bought this guy, Frankenstein.
Yeah, right on.
So I got that for, I forget how much I bought that. I bought that off him for maybe 20, $25, maybe altogether with shipping. I was like,
Right, right.
good price. I mean, it glows in the dark. It's really cool.
Yeah,
So
I got the Creature from the Black Lagoon back there. I was just peeking. Yeah, he's my universal monster of choice.
I got
So,
Invisible Man for me. I got the,
oh yeah,
I gotta love that. It sucks because I think I only have the standard. They had a chase version, which was invisible, not invisible, but it's clear.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then they did a black and white variant back last
Yep,
October,
yep,
which I
yep.
got hold of. That's the like back when I was really into it. I would have been on it. It would have been ordered. I would have had like two done, and now I'm like the
Well,
ones I have that I'm remotely wanting is the Mighty Ducks.
right. Well, that's the thing. They keep hooking you in. And it's funny. You talk about wrestling the Invisible Man. I have the Invisible Man as well.
Oh.
The John. So, but no, yeah, it's crazy, man. Like I said, every time I think I'm out, and I've been getting in the Jinjitsu ones have been coming in. It's like, oh, and then like Books a Million has an exclusive one, so you end up getting that, and but
Stop.
it's cool, it's harmless, it's fun, keeps you off the streets, and at the end of the day, if it brings you joy,
Exactly.
that's what if it brings you joy and you're not harming anyone in the process, buy a damn Funko, treat yourself, get the Mighty Ducks, get
Get the Mighty.
Jinjitsu, get Invisible. You can't see me, John Cena, just because it makes you laugh every time you look at it.
Of course. I do have one on pre-order from Amazon. It is they seem like they have like a theme every so often where they release a couple within like a
Mhm.
couple months time, and it's like Year of the Shield for like Captain America or something, and they have a Bucky, a Winter Soldier with the shield.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because Winter Soldier is one of my favorite comic book characters, so like I'm like, I gotta have it. So I got
Well,
12.
they got the TV show now too, of course, which is
Very.
really good.
I don't have you. I'm not caught up. I haven't watched episode 3 yet, but I've watched the first two.
I am caught up. I'm
Very
caught
good
up.
so far.
Yeah.
I'm liking the dynamic between Sam and Bucky
Hmm.
because there's such a just them in that scene where they're looking like, are you guys having a staring contest right now?
All right, and it's a total buddy cop style formula and
For
stuff
sure.
like that. So that's a lot
I
of fun.
like the whole thing going on with like these new super soldiers, like the whole concept of that, the flag crushers or whatever it is. What are they called?
Oh, Flag Smasher. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Then they go, like I saw in the newest episode, they go back and get Zemo.
Now I'm not gonna spoil anything for you.
Boiling.
But it's fun. It's good. I loved WandaVision. I loved WandaVision from the jump. It kind of blew me away that people didn't. I don't want to sound like a jerk or nothing, but I guess it kind of surprised me people didn't get what was going on right off the bat. Like, oh, why is it all in black and white? And I'm like,
Like you
I
gotta,
think pretty clear what's happening here, But I really, really, really liked WandaVision, even if there was no Mephisto. I still enjoyed it. And Bucky Winter Soldier is good. They just released a Loki trailer, and I enjoy, as a fan, I love the MCU stuff, the Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff they do is always so enjoyable. It's so good, and we're just living in a golden age of content right
yeah,
now, whether through comics, television, or movies, or what have you. So
whatever it is. It's just the fact that the movie industry was so crippled last year that they're still pumping out like really good quality films, regardless.
yeah, well, and it was like that in comics too. I mean, with the comic industry getting hit so hard, and Diamond, our main distributor, temporarily shutting down, and all of that, and that time between 2019 2021, my plans for that span of time, which we shall not name or discuss, was very different than the reality when things like COVID and stuff like that came into play. But like you said, you got to stay busy, and I stayed busy. I've been staying busy, and as a result, now that we are past that, and we're in a new year, and we're a different landscape, able to have stuff like Butts and Seats and this just catalog of stuff coming out now. That my problem now is actually not producing the content as much as it is scheduling the content to come out at a pace which is reasonable and not overly taxing people who enjoy the work. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you've got quite a few things coming out or you're working on that are coming out in the near future, like Butts and Seats is obviously, I'm assumed, finished and it's ready to come out. And then the big topic for me is Twisted's Haunted Highon's Curse of the Green Book.
Yeah,
I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, fully written. Mariana and Alessandro are illustrating it as we speak. I'm super excited about Curse of the Green Book. Haunted Highons, Twisted Haunted Highons, Volume 1, The Darkness Rises, was a book that really, really, I think, I don't know if surprised a lot of people is the right word, but I think a lot of people enjoyed it more than maybe they initially suspected they would.
Oh yeah.
Based on the type of books they normally fancy themselves enjoying, and it's funny because I spoke at the Diamond Retailer Summit and I talked to all the comic book shop in Las Vegas, and I talked to all the comic book shop owners that were there. I was presenting on behalf of Source Point Press, and we got to talk about Twisted Haunted Highons. I said, I'm not saying this because I wrote this book. I'm saying this because it is my obligation to tell you, you need to order up on this book. I said, this is a book based on, that is created with a band with a 20-year legacy and very hardcore fans. It is beautifully illustrated, and it is going to sell out.
Yeah.
And I said, I promise you, if you order extra copies, you will move them. And there's stores that listened, and there's stores that didn't. I understand, no one's going to get up there and say, don't order this book, but I told stores specifically, I said, this book is going to be a really, really big deal, and it's going to be something that's going to be really, really move well and bring in a lot of new customers. When the book came out, that's exactly what happened. A lot of people hadn't been to comic shops in a while, started flooding the comic stores looking for it. And it's funny, stores were like getting a hold of Source Point, like, we need more copies of this book. And we were sold out. I mean, completely sold out. And then Twisted ventured in the world of crowdfunding with the Kickstarter campaign. And that did exceptionally well. Then the book got, the Kickstarter exclusive hardcover, my dude, I was going to say, moving forward, you can only get it looking like a trade paperback, which is now in comic shops and bookstores everywhere. But yeah, you got the Kickstarter exclusive hardcover. And then the book got nominated for 3 Ringo Awards, which is amazing, for best illustrator, best colorist, and best humor book. So now, point being, I say all this not to pat myself on the back and pat the team on the back, but to say now, in August, when Curse of the Green Book goes into solicitations, goes into previews, again, order up, friends. Order up, because Mariana and Alessandro have leveled up on Curse of the Green Book, and they're phenomenal to begin with.
Oh, yes.
And we're really excited to continue this story, to move forward with it. It's just a nice, tight, taut 4-issue story arc. Twisted New Orleans. Sorry, I'll say New Orleans next time. I was New Orleans. And it's they get caught in a war or a battle or a feud between the King and the Queen of Voodoo in New Orleans, and things go worse from there. I have been deliberately cryptic on a lot of the surprises that are going to be coming in this book. There's a lot of good stuff coming in this book, a lot of really good stuff, and that I know that Twisted's people especially are very rabid and like to glom on any information available, so and put it on blast. So I've been keeping my cards very close to my chest on this book. But to say that people that were at Astronomicon last year and got the print with Little John on it, the alligator, and the King and Queen of Voodoo and things like that, that's this much.
It's just a crumb.
Just trust me. we are blowing the doors off of it with this book, and just again a really nice, tight, action-packed 4-issue story arc. Super excited about it. Fans of the band are going to be exceptionally happy. Fans of good comics are going to be happy. Fans of the first series are going to be happy, and we're really excited about it.
And that you said that'll start. When will that start hitting comics shops then?
It'll be in previews in August, so August, September. So I think it'll be dropping then in, I want to say, October.
Very cool. Just in time for Halloween.
Funny how that works, isn't it? Right? So it'll be right around there.
It's ironic. No, but just like you were saying with, I had to buy. I have all the issues of Haunted Highons. I had to buy on the band's website.
Mm-hmm.
And like I got their exclusive cover.
Nice, that's a tough one to get too. Yeah.
Any exclusive cover. I got the #1 from their website just because I love that cover and I'm a completist at times.
Right.
I love that cover. And then I had a buddy. He went to C2E2, and he picked me up the #2.
Yeah, that one's totally in black and white. The whole issue is black and white. That was the artist edition that Mariana did, because Mariana and Alessandro were in Chicago with Twisted, but we all did that signing. And yeah, that one was limited to 100 copies. That one, again, is a super rare edition of the book.
And it's signed.
Yeah, that was fun.
He got me this one, the one shot.
Yeah, oh yeah. That one debuted at New York Comic Con. Yeah, that was the beginning of our working relationship.
Yeah, this the whole story is just like every issue. I'm like, oh man, I gotta wait another month to.
Good. That means we're doing our job. It's like if you get to the end of the issue and are like that, then we're not doing our job. But
exactly.
I know with Curse of the Green Book too, it's going to be the same thing. I think people are going to be reading it, just going out of their minds every month. They're like, oh my, and
oh my god.
Yeah, there's some fun references to things in there that I think people will enjoy, and yeah, I just don't want to. I gotta be careful. I start giving stuff away I shouldn't. But suffice to say, very, very excited about it. People are going to enjoy it. Old school fans are going to be super stoked, but also just people that enjoy comics and have enjoyed the book so far are really going to be happy.
Oh, we got the Colorado M&E Street team in here.
Oh, right on, man.
Cool. That's cool. They say I can't wait for that. Neither can I. I want to talk about this issue for a second.
Yeah, issue 5.
Comic books I have ever read.
Thank you.
It's so cool because it basically brings in, like, not the whole M&E crew, but you got Blaze, you've got the Al Azul Ilu in there at their comic book debut, and it's just hilarious because they're just like there, they're just like, yeah, we're just here, praise Zul.
Praise Zul. Yeah, and it's funny because the Jamie and Paul in the book are not the Jamie and Paul, the Madrox Monoxide of real life. So we kind of walk this fine line between making sure that we do honor the fact that they are in a band and why they paint their faces, things like that. I call it the war paint. In the book, you'll notice when they're going to work, they put on the war paint. They go. Yeah. But it's one of those things where we definitely wanted to tap in and have some fun with that. Bringing in Blaze, bringing in Al Azul Ilu, who both of whom personally and professionally, I'm big fans of both of those guys, fans. And then when you get the trade paperback, you even have little epilogue stories we unlocked, which kind of shows where maybe there's potential to do more with those stories down the road, But it was fun, yeah, to bring that in. But also, it's an interesting challenge to make sure we don't go too deep into the fact that. So these guys run a party store, and they're ghost hunters, and they're in a band. I mean, we do want to honor the fact that obviously we have referenced that they do create music in the book, but I don't want it to become a thing where they're, I don't want to be kitschy, And I've never, and Jamie and Paul have always been really good about this. We don't want to make this a vanity project just to put over their music through the comic. The comic is the comic.
It's its own thing.
own entity.
Right. It is completely its own thing. Right. You don't have to listen to Twisted to read the comic. In fact, and nor do you have to be a fan of the band to enjoy the comic.
Exactly. I was telling people that, like, I'm a fan of Twisted. I've been a fan for a while. I wouldn't consider myself one of those,
Get over here!
You know what I mean? Like, I don't consider myself one of those types of fans. Like, I have a huge respect for them just because of who they are. Because, I mean, they initially are just, they're kind of like, me and like you. We're just huge fans of, comics, horror. That's why I think I just kind of, what's the word? Connect with them, I guess, in a way.
Sure, absolutely. Well, Jamie and Paul are very open about their fandom, of horror movies and comics and the things that they like, and Funkos, obviously. And again, it's kind of like what I talked about at the beginning, where I think people have been conditioned by books that are based on real people or specific musicians, that they become these vanity projects, or to put over the music, or I'm going to use the power of rock and roll to save the day. And it's like, that's not what this is. They're real people. They're fun characters to write about. Were I to tell this story with two completely fabricated, let me phrase that. Why would I tell this story with two completely fabricated characters when we have characters in Jamie and Paul who tell the story, who serve the purpose of the story just as well and are fun to write? And again, people that know the band, that are familiar with Twisted, I'm a big fan of Twisted. I don't know if it would be fair to call me a juggalo or not, but I worked with ICP back in the day in my music journalism days, there's a picture right up here of me with ICP from Great Malenko. I love Twisted's work. I go back, I get it.
Yeah.
But I'm also a dyed-in-the-wool metalhead. So it's like, whatever, but point being, you don't have to be a juggalo to enjoy this book. You don't have to be familiar with their music to enjoy the book. It's just a fun comic, and I think that's what people realized through the first story arc, and now going into the next story arc that we're doing, and all this heat behind the book, the Ring Award nomination, the selling out, the successful Kickstarter campaign. It's going to be on more people's radar than ever, and I'm really excited about that. And with people able to then, become familiar with Twisted's music, it's a nice perk.
Yeah.
Twisted has been killing it. Lately, their last several albums especially have shown the diversity of what they do, and I've known a lot of people who said, I knew the Twisted of 20 years ago. I didn't realize how much they've grown and evolved now, and find themselves going back and enjoying it. I get it. Most Tasteless may not have been your thing, but you may pick up Generation Nightmare or even Mad Season, and be like, or Revelation to me, I think, is one of the best hip hop albums of the last decade at least.
Oh yeah.
And just be like, wow, I'm like, well, yeah, musicians evolve. We all evolve. I'm not the person I was 20 years ago. I'm not the person I was a year ago, So, so that's a nice benefit to it, that I also, people get turned on to this band who's extremely talented as well. It's just a nice perk.
Because people are always like, oh, they're rappers. I'm like, no, they're not just rappers. It's like Twisted is its own, like, they do a little bit of everything. And I think that's why I think, compared to, mainstream artists, like Twisted is, they're more talented than most of the people in the mainstream rap group. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Like, yeah, sure, Eminem's Eminem. He's, even Paul himself said, he's one of the greats. He went to school with Eminem. So, I mean, but to me,
there, well, it's like in writing comics, there's I would say there's Alan Moore and there's everybody else. And in the rap game, you have people like Eminem who are, and I don't say this sacrilegiously, but just a god tier.
Yeah.
They are at a level that is just peak. And I don't care what you think of Alan Moore personally. I don't care what you think of Eminem personally. Whatever, these are people who, in their craft, are the tippy top echelon of their game. But I think you're right. Then you got a band like Twisted, who does rap extremely well. They do rock extremely well, but they're they're at the top of their game too. And I think they're a criminally underrated band in regards to to how talented they are.
Exactly.
But I think they're a band that people more and more now are starting to figure out. You know, since they created Magic Ninja Entertainment, especially, I think people are learning more and more just how good this band is.
Oh yeah.
Just how good they are. And the fact they've been getting more mainstream coverage, the fact that they have a very successful comic book, the fact that they're getting more, you know, they've been charting on Billboard more consistently. You know, one of their, you know, I mean, people are figuring it out, you know, and I think it's very, it's good. They have earned it. They have earned all of the success they're continuing to get. And they have a DIY work ethic. You know, they released their own toy brand because they wanted toys. So they just did it.
Yeah.
You know, even with the, you know, I mean, we talked last year at Astronomicon before the pandemic and stuff happened about, you know, moving into a partnership deal for an animated series. Obviously, the pandemic has slowed some things down in that regard.
Yeah.
And it's not, and Hollywood is not a fast process anyway. But in the meantime, we put together, and they put together and released the motion comic.
Yeah.
You know, the video comic, which last time I checked was like you know, like 2 weeks in or whatever. It's over 11,000 views already. You know, they do it themselves. They hustle, they grind, and that's what you got to do. You just got to do the work and move forward. And people recognize talent. People recognize talent. People recognize putting work out there. And that's ultimately what will, I think, carry you through and help define your legacy. And they're a band that I've given them so many props. It's like they don't pay me enough to lie for them. I mean, this is stuff I truly feel in my heart. But this is a band that's continuing every year, if not every month, to continue to define their legacy. And I don't think we've seen Peak Twisted yet. I truly don't. You know, I think them forming Magic Entertainment set a whole new trajectory for them and what they're doing. And I know for a fact a lot of musicians, a lot of people in the industry are looking at what they do and saying, that's something we should pay attention to.
Exactly.
And you know, so
they peak at every album release, I think. Like that season, then they released it's more of an EP. It was the songs from Sam Hain, and then they released Revelation.
Right.
That's crazy. And they're releasing 2 this year, so far as I know. They got the EP coming out on the 23rd, Electric Blessing. And then I think sometime later this summer they're releasing their rock album, which I forget the title for.
So imperfect solution, something like that. I'm sure some of the copies can.
Something Prescription.
So yeah, I you know, it left my mind as soon as you brought it up. I'm like, yeah, it's 2 words. Imperfect prescription, imperfect something like that. I'm like, oh man, I just lost it again. I put the guys over for 15 minutes and then I just flake out on their upcoming album. But you know, it may change as well. You know, Generation Nightmare was called Nightmare Children at one point too. So.
Yes, and that like I think the album that really grabbed me for them, like I was just kind of coming up. Like I randomly found them on iTunes. Is where I really initially found Twisted back in like 2014 when they released The Darkness. And I heard the song Boogeyman. I'm like, holy shit, this is great. Like, I loved how, just like how different their two voices just synchronize so well. Like Paul has his, you know, his raspiness to his voice, but then so does Jamie as well. He's got his raspiness, but he's got his high pitched stuff too. And he just has they both just have such great range. And that's what I love the most about those guys is because they have just their own, you know, they set their own tone for their music, and I think that's just
absolutely.
Like, they're just talent. Like we keep saying, they're just very, very underrated. Like criminally underrated, as you say. Like, like people will say, oh, they're like if I'm talking about Twisted to somebody who's not into that type of stuff, they're like, oh, aren't they with the ICP stuff? I'm like, yeah, but they used to be, but now they're their own thing, and they're not really like ICP.
I always like to say that's like saying, oh, well, you know, Megadeth, isn't he that guy that used to be with Metallica? I'm like, yeah, you know, sure. But again, you know, whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, like we were saying, there's so much content out there, and people that will give Twisted a chance, I think, will find they probably like them a lot more than they may suspect, especially if they're judging them on work they did 20 years ago.
Yeah, like I challenge anybody to go out and listen. They will find at least one song by Twisted that it just like, they may not love it, but it's like, hey, that's pretty catchy. I kind of like that. You know, that's still something.
They're a great band. I enjoy them a lot, you know. And again, I'm a metal guy. I like Twisted. I like all kinds of different stuff. But Twisted, pound for pound, there's no taking away from their level of quality of music they do, their talent, their dedication, and it's really a privilege to work with them on Haunted Highons. And I look forward to continuing to work with them on this book for the foreseeable future. We have big plans.
Fingers crossed for like a Life's Questions book.
No comment.
Continue with what? Now
Stay tuned. We'll get through Curse of the Green Book, and we'll see what's next from there. I know what I want to do next, so we'll
that's half the battle. But,
yes, sir.
So they're I would love, like, I don't feel like I've got much of an audience yet to be able to interview them, but I would love to interview Jamie, Paul, or both. Hopefully in the sometime in the future, I'd be able to interview them. I've been talking to Joey, excuse me, from Ala Zulilu, and I might be interviewing him here before.
Oh, right on, man. Yeah, those are good guys too. Real good guys.
Him, I'd like to interview all three, just because they, like, you can't have one without all three of them. But then again, like, it's still, it's one third of the Almighty is good enough.
Well, it comes down to anything. People are so busy, is what it comes down to. And it's like, even like with me running the Kickstarter for Butts and Seats right now. Which again, buttsandseatscomic.com. People can check it out. 7 days left to pre-order your copy.
7 days.
7 days. 7 days. Yeah, we're 1 week left. It's the amount of time that goes into creating and things like that. It's like, I would love to talk to everybody. I would love to do all this stuff, and it's like, we all got the same 24 hours in a day, so it gets real tricky in regards to, again, I'm so appreciative and appreciate the fact getting to come on and talk to you for a little bit. It's like, okay, then I gotta go back and do more work. I gotta do this, and then eat at some point, and this sleep thing I hear about.
Yeah.
But
I forget to eat sometimes.
I way too often. Like, I'm sitting here working, and I'm like, oh, why am I so lightheaded? I'm like, oh, I haven't eaten in 9 hours. That might be it.
You gotta have the snacks. Gotta have the work snacks.
Oh, well, I always gain weight during a Kickstarter because I've learned, like I said, that past experience of like, oh, I haven't eaten in 9 hours. That's why the things on the screen don't make sense anymore. So then you have snacks with you, and you're always eating, and then you're up late at night and snacking, and then you celebrate and you have ice cream, and it's like, oh.
It's so true, though. It's like,
yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So I want to jump to a different comic. I finally jumped into Hope.
Yeah.
Very, very good. I read this. I bought this from you like probably a year or two ago, and I picked it up and read a couple chapters, sat it down, and I just got, busy reading other things. But then I'm like, you know what? I need to pick up and read this, and I finally read it, and it grabbed me like really, like, it's very emotional, this story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, you feel really. It's like this person who's a superhero doesn't want to be a superhero now because her daughter is, taken away from her because she's a superhero, even though she's not even a criminal. It's very it's a very sad story.
It is. It's a very emotionally resonant story. And this is a story I've wanted to tell for a long time. And I give many props and kudos to Kaylin Smith for joining me on the story. She was the person to launch that series with, hands down. But yeah, this story is very emotionally resonant. It's a story that's very close to my heart. Despite the fact that I'm not a woman or a superhero, but I'm writing a story about a woman having experience rather than the woman's experience, which is very different. Just like I can write about rappers who are ghost hunters. I can write about Cthulhu's. I can write about whatever, if you talk about that person having that experience. And Hope, like you said, it's about a woman who the experience she's having is that she moonlights as a superhero. She's unregistered. She does not want to register for reasons that I think become a little bit obvious in the book, and will become more obvious as it moves forward. The series moves forward when we pick it up again, hopefully next year. That
Is this the only volume that's out right now?
Yeah. Volume 1's out right now. Volume 2 will be coming out in 2022. So it's plotted, but again, just a lot of things stacked up, and the pandemic and everything else. So we had to kind of redistribute our schedule a little bit.
So I'm caught up then on the story.
You are, yeah. If you got to that massive cliffhanger at the end of Volume 1, then you are in the same boat as everyone else, waiting to see how that's going to resolve. And I'm not going to spoil it here, obviously.
You just read that last page, and I'm just like, duh. Didn't see that coming.
Yeah. That was a monster moment for the book. And people have been chomping at the bit, like, when's Volume 2 coming? And I'm like, it's getting there. I promise. Kaylin Smith right now is obviously running she's in the last day of a very successful campaign she's been doing For Goodness Sake. I've been doing, Haunted Highons, Butts and Seats, Tales of Mystery, Volume 5 will be coming out. But one way or another, we'll see Hope next year. Hope Volume 2. There is a long-term, albeit finite, story to tell. And I'm very, very much looking forward to diving back into that world. I Hope as a character has lived with me for a very long time. I'm very excited to get back to it. And excited for people to see what's next with that.
I'm very excited to see how she got her powers.
We give you a one-panel description there, one-panel teaser, I guess. Per volume, but there's
little sliver.
Sliver, right. And it's funny, I did it that way because I didn't want to get hung up early on in the story about how she got her powers. Most of several of the characters we talk about how they got their powers, it's a very quick bit. It's like, oh, it happened this way, and we move on. Because to me, I don't want to get hung up in these origin stories of these characters as much as I want to just get to the fact that they have powers. And let's just deal with where we are now. That in medias res. Let's just go. Jump in the middle.
You should wait until the final chapter. Hey, like, so how did you get your powers? Oh, that.
The aliens. No, there is. I will say that how some of the characters find themselves in the situation they are in definitely plays a part in how the bigger story, how they interact with the world around them. How Hope got her powers, definitely, which again, we just give you that sliver, give you that one panel snippet, like glimpse, that definitely contributes to her mentality, her personality, her philosophy about why she is the way she is now. You have a character like Helena Voy who was kind of given the opportunity to get her powers. Hope wasn't. There's a very different dynamic there. And then again, you got Helen who gladly registers and becomes a registered, ultra and all this stuff. And so we're going to see more and more of that as we go on about how that factors in. But first and foremost, it's a human story. It's a story about a woman who is a mother and who has her life turned upside down in a very unexpected fashion, and how she chooses to deal with that, and how society perceives her and judges her on her life. That's the crux of the story more than fly around and punch things, which is why I didn't want to get too involved in the origins of the characters, but rather taking a look at how we view people, how we treat people. I think the level of entitlement that people feel they have with other people when they become a public figure, and go from there. And Volume 2 is going to continue that story very much so.
Very cool. I'll be definitely keeping my eyes peeled for that one because I'm interested to see what happens. Like, does she get her daughter back?
Stay tuned, friends. Stay tuned.
So let's jump into another comic. I've not read this one, but I've seen a lot about it. You were talking about it earlier, Mr. Ree.
Yes,
What's
Tales
up?
of Mystery.
Tales of
Yeah.
Mr. Ree. So what is a Mr. Ree?
Tales of Mystery, the setup on the book is that hell invades Earth for 3 days, and then it just stops. And people think, okay, well, that's pretty horrible, but it was 3 days. We made it through. We can move on. Well, Mr. Ree is a magician who knows that the monsters and demons are not all left, and the 3-day invasion from hell was just the first wave of what's actually coming next.
Ooh.
With no disrespect to Haunted Highlands or Hope or any of the other amazing books I get to write, if I had to write one book forever to its natural conclusion, and I only got one, it would be Tales of Mystery, hands down. It's a horror book. It's very noir, and it really is like a long form kind of case study about. There's a million books out there about monster hunters, but I think they glorify it a lot. It's like, oh, what'd you do today? Oh, I went and killed some demons, then went home and, had dinner with my wife and what? No, this is a more of a long form study on the kind of impact that life would have where everyone knows monsters are real. They saw them for 3 days. Indisputably, there were demons everywhere. A third of the population got wiped out. All this crazy stuff has happened. Society is fundamentally different. But now people are saying it's done. And if you're saying it's not done, mystery, for example, that maybe you're just having a problem adjusting. And maybe we just need to put you in a institution somewhere to help deal with the clear mental illness you have because you cannot seem to accept the fact that the monsters are all gone. Yeah, spoiler, they're not gone. They're clearly not gone. But society just wants to live that way. They want to live in this era of fake news, which is funny because I was talking about this in 2006. And now it's like it was meant to be kind of like a horror parody thing, and yet here we are, where it's like choose your own reality.
Reality.
Yeah. It's like, well, now it's choose your own reality. And Tales of Mystery, I think, deals with that topic a lot, where society has chosen to believe that there are no more monsters, there are no more demons, but there are still people truly being affected by this problem, and Mystery is someone that wants to dedicate himself to helping those people, despite the fact that society is saying there isn't a problem. The first 4 volumes are out. The next Kickstarter campaign I'll be running, as a matter of fact, will be for volume 5, which is called Rockstar Paranoia. It's the beginning of Act 2 of the series, and we'll also be offering an omnibus of the first 4 volumes of the book combined, with a cover by James O'Barr, creator of The Crow. We totally recolored volume 1. The original series colors colored volume 1. So the book tonally has a similar look throughout. And really excited about it. A lot of people have been jonesing for Mystery to come back. I'm very excited for Mystery to come back as well. And just really excited about it.
It just now clicked.
It does that for a lot of people, right? Tales of Mystery. Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm very punny.
Very punny indeed. That's it. He said Mystery a couple times. I'm like, wait a second. Wait.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Like, right or wrong, Mystery, right? Yeah. I have to have the little things to make me laugh when I'm writing a book as dark as Tales of Mystery.
I'm going to call this Mystery because it is quite the mystery.
He is a little bit of a mystery. He's very reserved. He's a very reserved, very broken character. Not broken, that's not fair. But he's very damaged. And in fact, a lot of volume 1, the first 4, Act 1, the first 4 volumes, deal with that trauma he's had, that trauma he's experienced, and how he deals with that, and how he is going to move forward with it. So a lot of people like the book, especially because of Mystery. He's like I said, he's a pretty complex character, and I really appreciate the privilege to be able to tell a long-form story in this way about a character who's this complex and how he interacts with the world around him. This at times fantastic, dark, frightening world. So it's fun. It's fun. You got Haunted Highlands, which is more of a sometimes lighthearted take on ghost hunting and stuff like that. Then you got Tales of Mystery, which is a very, very dark, horrific noir. The other side of the spectrum on what that kind of life would be like.
Kind of bleak.
It gets pretty heavy at times. I'm not gonna lie, it gets pretty heavy. But I think any good story should make you feel. Haunted Highlands makes you laugh. Hope gets you emotionally invested. Mystery gets you emotionally invested. That's you want to elicit that emotional connection, that emotional response. That's what you want to get.
I mean, if a story doesn't do that, then it's it's obviously not necessarily not a good story, but it's just like a story should grab you and keep you wanting more. And if it doesn't do that, then it's not doing its purpose. Like there's another comic set I'm reading right now called Nailbiter Returns.
Absolutely.
And
Josh Williamson. Mm-hmm.
I read because I'd never like I was in a comic book store one day and like I hadn't been to the comic book store in a long time, and I went and I saw it because I was like I'm like, hey, let's find some horror comics or something along those lines, and
Right.
I saw that and I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. I'll read the first page, see what it's like. And it told, like, I didn't realize there was a Nailbiter series before Nailbiter Returns.
Right. No, absolutely. Yeah. Nailbiter, again, is very highly regarded in horror comic circles, so it's a cool book. Josh Williamson's a hell of a writer. Just a really cool series.
Very, very interesting for sure. Just the whole, like, especially with the returns, because, like, he's obviously like incarcerated, but then like they break him out to help with another. So it's kind of very Hannibalistic, Hannibal-esque, because he's the serial killer, and they're like, we need your help with this, and it's like, oh, we're gonna treat him like Hannibal. Okay,
right.
It's very cool because like it's his daughter, and then like I said, I'm only 4 issues in, so I need to go and. They have it like if I'm invested in a comic where I've got 4 issues already, like I like to get the separate issues. But like if it's something I haven't read yet and there's already like a full-fledged like graphic novel, I get the collected edition just because it's like, hey, it's going to be harder to come by these comics that aren't as current.
And honestly, the Nailbiter trade paperbacks had excellent design on the collections. I really enjoyed the trade paperback design on those books, especially. So, just a little plug for that. Well worth it. Well worth the investment.
Another comic that I'm really a huge fan of, but it's like not even. It's not very consistent in issues anymore. Is Lenore by Roman Dirge.
Yeah.
That comic, like I remember finding it was a volume because there's only stories wise there's 2 volumes when each volume was like 7 or 8 issues, I think, and it was like volume 2 issue like 4 or 5, and it was like this the Dweller in the Cupboard, and I'm sitting there looking at the cover of this. I'd never heard of it before, and I'm sitting there looking at this, and I just start reading the first like page, and I'm like, I have to buy this. It reminded me like of like the comedy of like in Invader Zim. That's what it kind of reminded me of. And then I come to find out like he's actually worked with like, who writes Invader Zim? Yonan Vasquez is his name, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He also did Johnny the
Homicidal Maniac. Right, absolutely. That's how a lot of us discovered his work that way initially. But yeah, no, absolutely, and that's it, And there's so many good horror comics out there and things like that. So to be able to contribute to the tapestry of that is an honor, and the fact that even our time here is growing short, but I want to touch on the fact that Source Point Press, who's an amazing publisher to work for, and they're publishing Books of Seed. They're going to be publishing Tales of Mystery moving forward. There's talks of them picking up some of my other horror titles from previous publishers and redistributing them through Simon & Schuster. The fact that Simon & Schuster is now getting involved in working with comic publishers and making the books more available. So like you said, if you liked Invader Zim, check out some of the foundational stuff the guy did. Check out Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, or check out Lenore, or if you like Butts and Seats, you like Haunted Hyants, check out Tales of Mystery, check out Nightmare World, check out Hope, check out Buried But Not Dead, check out these other books I've done, you know. And the fact that bookstores now, and like I said, distributors like Simon and Schuster just entered a partnership with Source Point Press to make comics and the graphic novels available anywhere books are sold is amazing. And that's something that demonstrates the power and the popularity of the medium. And people are recognizing that comic books are more than just corporately owned superheroes.
Yeah.
That there's a lot of stuff here to like, you know. There's
Me.
you want some kind of right, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's cool too, man. You know, I mean, again, everyone should like what they like.
Exactly.
But I'm just glad that people are discovering that the wealth of material and the wealth of content out there. And now it's going to be easier and easier for people to get this stuff again. That's what's exciting.
It's like when I was a kid, like to me, comic books were just, superheroes. Like it's like, oh, superhero comic. That's all it was when I was a kid.
That's all that was out there, right? Or all the readily available. Yeah.
Yeah. Now growing older, it's like I go to a comic book store now, and it's just so much variety, and I think that's just what's kind of like really like making the comic book, I wouldn't say community, the comic book industry more like relevant. Would that be?
Yeah, well, I think it's relevant and receptive to the fact that people want other kinds of stuff out there too. Again, corporately owned superheroes, awesome. That's a gateway for a lot of people. Yeah. But there's also comedy. There's also slice of life. There's horror. There's
everything.
Everything. And the more that comic stores and bookstores populate their shelves with a variety of different types of work, I think the more the medium will grow, the more people will get to discover comics, discover a joy of it, discover a joy of reading, of literacy, of this very unique style of storytelling that goes on to inspire so many movies and things like that as well.
That's what I kind of wanted to do with this page, like more than just just talking about horror movies or, music. I wanted to go a little bit of everything, like with the comic books, maybe talk about video games here and there, maybe. But comic books, definitely, just because I feel like, I just like to spread the word. So this is mostly what this page is just spreading the word, like putting stuff out there for people to find, or maybe something that they haven't heard of before, just to kind of, hey, I like this, maybe you will too.
Absolutely. You're exactly right. And thank you for doing it. Thank you for taking time to talk to me today about the stuff, man. It was good to chat with you on all of this. I sincerely appreciate it. I'm going to put in one more cheap plug. buttsandseatscomic.com. People go check out the book. You have a week left. Any pledge with the Kickstarter exclusive hardcover comes with 16 stretch goal bonuses and upgrades.
Wow.
And we're closing it on liking the 17th one. A variant cover. Trading. Just so much stuff. It's crazy. It's crazy. So people can check out details at buttsandseatscomic.com.
Okay. What I'll do is when I post this to YouTube, I'll put a link, or
I appreciate it.
I'll put the website in the description for people to, follow or go to, and, all that good stuff.
That's perfect, Ben. Thank you. Thank you again for having me on. Again, my first ever Instagram Live. So thank you to those of you that
it's been an honor.
So I couldn't see all the comments and stuff like that. But again, I appreciate you having me on, man. And I appreciate everybody watching. You can go to dirkmanning.com as well. Check out, if you're not familiar with my work, check out my work there. And but right now, 1 week left, buttsandseatscomic.com. And if you're watching this down the road, go to dirkmanning.com and you can find me there as well.
Do it. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you for letting me interview you, sir. And
it's my pleasure.
Hopefully, whatever you have going on the rest of your day goes well.
Working away. We got 1 week left, my friend. So to the grind. But I appreciate your time. Again, thank you for having me on. Look forward to seeing you as we all start to get back on the road and stuff like that. Seeing everybody. But thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Have a good day.
Yep, you too.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Well, I feel like that's all the time we might have today. I want to thank Dirk Manning again for letting me interview him and pick his brain about comics, and for giving us so much information on what's to come from him and the world of Dirk Manning. Before I go, I want to do a little bit of a like, hey, I got this in the mail yesterday. I recently picked up some shirts from Fright Rags, and I feel like, hey, I'll share them with you guys. First up, I got the Creep Show Season 2 shirt. I love the creep on there. I picked up this guy, The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs. He's got, what's it got there? It's got Darcy the Male Girl, and I feel like I forget his name now, the Bearded Dragon's on there. So there's The Last Drive-In. That's still available on their site. All these shirts, I believe, are still available to purchase, depending on your size. I had to go with the Silver Shamrock because Halloween 3 is Halloween 3. But I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm sad that I can't believe I'm just now getting this shirt, actually. So I'm not much of a collar person when it comes to shirts, but I'll make an exception for Silver Shamrock. Let's see here. So my fourth shirt, I got an Evil. I've been wanting an Evil Dead shirt for a long time now, and I found this guy, an Evil Dead 2. It's like a really cool kind of. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just really cool. Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. It's got Bruce Campbell on there. Yeah, it's just a really cool cover shirt. It looks like it could be like a video game like cover or something almost. Maybe. I don't know. But anyway, moving on to my last one. They just released a Universal Monsters collection a couple weeks ago. Maybe 2-3 weeks ago, I think. And it included this one, The Invisible Man. And I've been wanting an Invisible Man shirt for a while now, so finally got me an Invisible Man shirt. They have the Mummy. They've got, Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, I believe. Yeah, they have a couple more. They have a line of Universal Monster shirts. So, with that, so I want to thank Fright Rags again, as always, for being an awesome sponsor. If you want any of these shirts and more, of course, they just released a Shaun of the Dead collection, even a Shaun of the Dead pint glass from the Winchester. Something you might be interested, go to fright-rags.com. At your checkout, enter promotion code Rotten Report 10, all capitalized, Rotten Report 10, and you'll get a 10% discount on your entire order. So hopefully, if you like what you see, go check out frightrags.com and enter that discount code, and you'll have a nice little discount on there. So with that, I want to thank everybody for joining in to watch me interview Dirk Manning. And if you like what you see, hopefully you tune in next time. And I hope everybody has a good evening, and you guys take care.